So let's start first with ionic compounds. So in naming ionic compounds, as we have discussed earlier, ang ionic compounds, di ba, meron siyang components na metals and non-metals. So metals are cations. We have discussed last time what cations are. These are the positively charged ions. And then they're also composed of anions. So usually in ionic compounds, cations are written first. Okay? So yung cations, how do we name them? Yung cations kasi merong two types. Diba yung metals, meron yung main group metals and the transition metals. So ngayon, yung cations, there are those elements with fixed charges. So example, when we say fixed charges, kung positive 1, all throughout, positive 1 lang yung charge niya. Kung positive 2, positive 2 lang. So yung mga main group elements or the main group cations or the main group metals, they have fixed charges. So if that's the case, how do we name them? We name the main group cations as they are stated in the periodic table. So example, kung meron tayong hydrogen, hydrogen lang yung pangalan niya. Kung lithium, lithium lang. Kung magnesium, magnesium lang. So always remember that when we name the main group cations in a chemical formula, we name them from which they are formed. Dahil meron silang fixed charges. These are for the main group elements. While those cations with variable charges, ano ba yung mga cations na may variable charges? Cations belonging to the transition elements. Again, these are the transition metals, yung nasa parang bridge ng periodic table, yung nasa gitna. So we call them as transition elements. So these transition elements, they have varied charges. Meron dyan example, ang iron, ang charge na positive 2 at saka positive 3. So how do we name such cations? There are two ways of naming the transition elements. Yung una ay systematic name. So how do we use the systematic name, or how do we write the systematic name of these cations? You follow the name of the cation. So example, Fe is iron. So iron pa rin yung name niya. The only difference is you will enclose the charge of the element in a parenthesis and write it as a Roman numeral. Again, you follow the name of the cation. So kung Fe is iron, iron pa rin yan. The only difference is you will identify the charge. So example, yung Fe2 positive, ang charge na ay 2 positive. And then, you write it as a Roman numeral, so Roman numeral number 2, and then enclose it in a parenthesis. So in the case of Fe2 positive, you name it as iron 2, and then for Fe3 positive, you name it as iron 3. Again, saan nanggaling yung Roman numeral, nakadepende yan dun sa charge ng element. So kung positive 4, mamaya kasi merong transition element na 4 positive yung charge. So Roman numeral number 4 yung naka-enclose sa parenthesis. Okay, so hopefully clear ang systematic name. And then, ano naman yung common name? So yung common name naman, we use the Latin word or the Latin origin of that specific element. So example, ang Fe, iron siya, pero ang kanyang Latin name is ferrum. So yung ferrum na yan, paano malalaman kung alin yung charge ng element, ng transition element? So for those cations with the smaller charge, we replace the ending of the Latin name with OUS. And then for the cation with the higher charge naman, we replace the ending with IC. Kaya dito, yung Fe2 positive, we name it as ferrous. And then yung Fe3 positive naman, we name this as ferric. Okay? So again, yung lower charge, we attach the suffix OUS. So we name that as ferrous. And then yung higher charge naman, we name that as ferric. So ferrous and then ferric. So ito yung ibang samples ng systematic name. So there are some transition elements na all of them, they have a systematic name. However, not all of them have a common name. So example here, you have chromus, chromic, you have cuprous, cupric. Yung cobalt, wala siyang Latin name. So cobalt 2 and cobalt 3 lang siya.